Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Eros in the first house in a natal chart. Now, Eros in astrology can represent, that kind of that astrological energy in terms of what we're, as far as a powerful sexual attraction we may have for. But since we're talking about houses, it's more about the where, where, the who. This is more about the sector of life, and where this may take place, or the kind of person that this is, as opposed to the actual more descriptive element or aspect of it, which is more associated with the sign that Eros resides in. Now, given that this is the first house, this might be and it shows that sector of life that this person might figure prominently in, since we're talking about houses. Now, since this is the first house, this could be somebody that may have been prominent in your early childhood. It might be that childhood sweetheart you may have that near unconquerable sexual attraction to. If it's, say, in Gemini, for example, it might be somebody very mercurial but very youthful, whether it's an age or just their outlook. It might be, somebody that has a good, very verbose, got a good gift of gab. It could also be somebody that may be very instrumental and play an integral role in your new beginnings as well, and play a strong role in your vitality, your energy level. Matters with the physical body. This could be somebody that could be very encouraging in terms of doing things that are beneficial to your physical body. And Virgo, say, as an example, could be somebody that could be very conscious about your health and also your outlook as well, and your energy level. And it might be somebody that may figure prominently in you making first impressions on others, whether it's for a job interview or what have you, and how you project yourself to others. This may be a person that might be giving you the constructive advice in how to do that, and your outer demeanor, how you're projecting yourself to others, the qualities that you may naturally express, represented by the ascendant. Especially, if this is in many cases, if you have Eros in the first house in your natal chart, it will be in the same sign as your ascendant. Sometimes it may be in the sign that follows it, though. Now, the thing about this too is, since in many cases it will be Eros, if you have in the first house, it will be in the same sign as your ascendant. It could be somebody that may mirror you in a lot of ways, and in some cases it might be somebody that has the sun, moon, or ascendant in that same sign as your Eros, or your ascendant sign. Now, if you have this where it's connected, it's conjunct another person's ascendant in that sign, this could reaffirm and reinforce a more physical sexual connection. Now, a very overpowering one, perhaps. Now, if it's the moon, it may be more on an unconscious or subconscious level. If it's the sun, it's more about the basic character, the qualities, the basic personality and demeanor of the person. But it could be physical to some degree, because the sun in astrology can be connected with the physical body to some level, even though it's the ascendant is what dominates the appearance. Now, Eros in astrology too can also be associated with what we may have. It can be extreme. It can be a kind of energy that we may be enamored and infatuated with, but at the same time, it could go the other way. A lot of that could be predicated on other elements in your chart in terms of compatibility with this energy. Now, it could also be energy that you might be exceptionally rebuffed by or exceptionally turned off by, and may just flat out repudiate or reject. Now, it might be in some cases, and let's say this Eros is in the same sign as your ascendant, it might be that maybe the person might simply be that energy may be simply too much associated with you. It might correspond or correlate with your own energy that you're projecting outwardly. And you know the expression, familiarity breeds contempt. It might be a lot of friction, especially if you have this in a conjunction aspect to somebody's to their sun, moon, or ascendant. Now, this could also be another thing too, where this could also be it could be somebody from your early childhood, and maybe this is a person that you maybe just don't want, the kind of person you wouldn't want to get involved with. If you're a very progressive person, you're moving forward. Say if this is an Aquarius, you may be a person that just might simply want to move forward and concentrate on the future, as opposed to going backwards into that, that energy that was connected with the very early part of your life, your early childhood. It could also be a person in some isolated cases that might where you might be turned off by somebody that might have this this impact on your energy and vitality, especially if it's negative. And if you have other elements in the chart that reinforce or reaffirm this, and say this person that you connect with, that you might feel this unconquerable sexual erotic connection with, let's say their south node is conjunct your sun, your ascendant, or your Mars, that could be like an energy dissipator or depleter right there. It could be somebody too that might this is somebody. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the next part of this. Eros in astrology can also be associated with our creative energy and ability. Now, the sign that Eros is in our natal chart can reflect that kind of creative energy and ability we may have. I mean, if it's in Aquarius, it might be expressed through some kind of robotics or electronics, computers, new ideas, new concepts. It could have a more ingenious flavoring. But when you're talking about the house, it's more that sector of life, the where that's taking place, and or the who, the people that may be involved in this. Now, given that this is the first house, this might be very well tied in. Your creative energy and ability may be strongly connected with your physical vitality. It might be very rejuvenating for you when you're expressing your creative energy and ability. You might feel very rejuvenated in doing so. And also it might be very strongly tied in to new beginnings. Say if you have this in Scorpio, this could be somebody that really puts a lot of this creative energy and ability. It could be matters with locksmithing, designing, interesting lock. Ever see those locks on the, you got on the inside of your front door that looks like a labyrinth. It's got like a maze. It's very convoluted looking, something like that. Or it could be also where the grandmother or someone prominent in your early childhood might either be inspirational in this energy, or you may collaborate with creative ideas with these people. And also too, you might apply it toward your appearance as well, whether it could be through some fashion design in some cases, or whether it's tattoos or what have you. So anyway. Well, Eros in astrology can also be associated with what one may have a very powerful exuberance and enthusiasm for. Given that this is the first house, this could be somebody that might put a lot of this passion, this enthusiasm, and exuberance into new beginnings. It could be in matters with the grandmother, perhaps in some cases, maybe somebody that was played a dominant role in your early childhood. It could be in those qualities that you just express naturally, and especially if this is in the same sign as your ascendant. Say if this is in Aquarius, it could be the expression of those very selfless, altruistic, very progressive qualities that you might express very outwardly, very naturally. Your physical body. It might be also, it could be somebody, for example, let's say you have this in Scorpio, it could be somebody that puts a lot of exuberance and enthusiasm into the transformation of the physical body, such as working out vigorously. And it could also be for egocentric needs, your own self-centered needs, since we're talking about the first house. First house, I see it as the house of courage and fortitude, because the first house in astrology does correspond with the zodiac sign Aries. So there might be some courageous flavoring in connection with this. Say if you have this in Pisces, for example, you could be somebody that might show that powerful exuberance, enthusiasm, and passion in doing things that are that's tied in maybe with a new beginning, but with a lot of energy and vitality, given it's the first house, in helping those less fortunate than yourself, such as the oppressed, the homeless, the impoverished, or hungry. And also, as an example, let's say that this is, as far as aspects go, let's say this makes an adverse aspect to your natal Pluto in your chart. There could be some situations where you might be involved in some maybe power issues or control issues with this kind of person that you feel that strong, powerful sexual attraction to. It might be also where you might be overly obsessed and fixated in trying to obtain this kind of person, so to speak, or you might be dealing with crisis that may conflict with the things, upheavals and crisis situations that may conflict with these things that you have the powerful exuberance and enthusiasm and passion for. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.